Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto. Hope you're all doing great, and welcome to this new video on the crypto markets. This midday market update, we'll talk about Bitcoin, we'll talk about XRP, we'll talk about Ethereum, and we will mostly focus on whether we can actually expect some more recovery or another move down. I mean, Bitcoin so far has been capped to the downside right here by this major support level on the higher time frames between the 0.618 fib of this recent move and the 382 fib right here at 98,000, also a fair value gap. There's a lot of different support levels there, right? I mean, it's a very strong level in general. That's also why in the signal group, so if you're interested in spot signals like that as well, we started buying between 100,000 and 98,000, so that's in profit right now, but who knows what's going to happen, right? There's no certainty. But yeah, so for transparency, I have bought Bitcoin yesterday, so maybe I am a little bit biased by that. But still, we're going to talk about everything you need to know. We'll talk about all the different scenarios. We'll talk about whether Bitcoin can recover or whether the market is going to crash down lower and everything you need to know. So let's get right into it. Now, first of all, I want to start off with the fundamentals. Now, fundamentally, I don't think this channel is the best space to speculate on the further escalation or de-escalation of the situation in the Middle East. At this point of time, I think it's best to just look at what the markets are telling us, look at what the data is telling us. And if you take a look at the data, if you take a look at the S&P 500 right here, but also if you take a look at oil prices, if you take a look at gold, if you take a look at the volatility index, the current levels are definitely not very positive or bullish. But they haven't worsened after the attack in the afternoon, in the weekend, right? So based on that, I think the markets are expecting stability. I think the markets are not expecting a major de-escalation or a major escalation, but they're also not expecting a de-escalation, right? Otherwise, gold would have pulled back. So yeah, as it stands right now, I think we have to assume stability, but the market has definitely not priced in an escalation. Right, so one of the main things that I think you need to, keep an eye on in the news is a potential closure of the Strait of Hormuz, which is most likely not priced in, and that will send prices lower, right? So when we're talking about Bitcoin specifically, like that can make the price of Bitcoin fall down much lower into the mid 90s, potentially even the low 90s. So be aware of that, all right? Escalation, at least in my opinion, has not been priced in, and will send prices down lower. Now, it's not all negative, and that's definitely something you have to keep your eyes on, but it's not all negative. I mean, what we also heard today was some more dovish tones by Federal Reserve members. And what we're seeing right now is that for the Federal Reserve interest rate meeting, the 30th of July, so that still takes some time, but still, I mean, it's something to look forward to. We actually have a 25% chance that we'll get a rate cut because of all those things that have been said. So that's interesting, and that definitely could work as a bullish catalyst for July, but that is also something that we'll still have to, hear more about. And this Tuesday and this Wednesday, Jerome Powell is speaking for, I think, Congress. So that's the Jerome Powell testimony that we have tomorrow in the afternoon, and then also on Wednesday in the afternoon. That's going to matter a lot for that as well. All right, so that's definitely something to watch. But at this point of time, I would say the situation in the Middle East matters a little bit more. But that's the current fundamental situation. When we're talking about the technical situation, it's still very, very similar as this morning. What I said this morning when we're talking about Bitcoin first here, and we will talk about some altcoins as well, like I said. What I said is that it was most likely we would pull back first, which is what we did. But that afterwards, the most important level we would have to reclaim, or at least the most important level to watch, would be 102,500, which you can see on the chart right here, is the value area low of the balance of this entire, or of the entire value / balance up here. So you want Bitcoin to break back above that to get some more stability towards 103.5, 105 maybe even as price targets. And so far, we haven't seen that. All right, so both fundamentally because of the uncertainty and technically, I still think it's best to assume more downside. Now, like I said, I mean, if there's no further escalation, then I do expect us to reclaim that level eventually. But as it stands right now, as we have not reclaimed it yet, I think it's best to be very, very cautious, and I think it's best to assume that we are going to drop down lower, where my first, main target would be 95,000 with the 90-day rolling VWAP. So that's the current situation. Now, like I said, I mean, if there's no further escalation, fundamentally, I do think we'll reclaim that, and I do think we'll get some more stability up here. But it's not safe, and it's not wise to live under or trade under the assumption that something will happen. It's better to wait for it to actually happen. But I would say this is most likely for Bitcoin, right? Based on certain assumptions that I have and that I also gave you. Now, when we're talking about altcoins and majors, XRP, Ethereum will just do exactly what Bitcoin does. All right, you can see that a lot of altcoins right now are very similar, or are moving very similar to how Bitcoin is moving. I think it's likely that that's going to continue in this market that's very, very much based, or very much moving based on fundamentals. Now, there's always certain altcoins that are quite interesting. So wanted to tell you about that. First of all, I saw some momentum come in for Gala. So I have that right here. So that's a gaming coin. Would I buy that right now? No, but there is certainly some momentum coming in. So I think that's interesting, and that's one to keep on your watch list. So that's this, Gala. Outside of that, Sonic, same thing, was also gaining some momentum. Would I buy right now? No, but interesting, and a potential bottom forming here. So that's Sonic, right? So the ticker is just S. And then personally, I am in a trade on Story/IP. I still think that's quite interesting. And I'm in a small position on Spark. So that's SPK. I spoke about that in the altcoin video this morning as well, but that's quite interesting as well. So that's what I think you need to know regarding the markets for now. If you do have any questions, anything, I would not comment that in the comments. Join the Telegram group, join the Discord group, tag me in there. That's best. So hopefully I'll talk to you in there. But for now, have a great rest of your Monday. And I'll see you on my next videos. Bye.